So, I'm 22 and my nephew, 15, is now homeless. His parents, my brother and his wife, kicked him out yesterday because they found out he is an atheist. They are super strict evangelicals. I'm lucky enough to have my own place and a good job. I want to take him in. I was really close to my nephew up until when I started college a few years back. However, his parents are adamant that I don't dare take him in, as they think he needs to be taught a lesson. I have no idea what the lesson even is here. They told me to mind my own business and that I'm not his father. Everyone else in the family agrees with them, and I honestly think they are out of their minds. If I take him in, I've pretty much been told by all of my family members that I won't exist for them anymore. They seem to be under the impression that God will show him the way and guide him to the light. I'm not an atheist, but I'm not super religious either. I'm genuinely worried about my nephew. He's called me a few times but has not told me about his situation. I heard about it from my brother. I just want to give him a big hug and bring him to my place. And to make things worse, his parents have pretty much told me that even if he finds God, they won't let him back home because he has sinned. I know that they are his parents, but I still feel I should step in. I want to step in. Everyone else I know is telling me it's not my place and that I'd be an idiot for stepping into their parenting decisions. Would I be the idiot? Not the idiot. You may be persuaded by your family that you are wrong to take your nephew in because then their kicking out is purposeless. That is why they are irritated by that and opposed to it. But you are right to take him in. Otherwise, his life will be ruined. He isn't able to live on the street, derail the conventional course of life, leave school, and be unsheltered, hungry and lonely. You are a notably good person at heart for willing to have him in your house, including all the subsequent sacrifices you make. You should be proud of yourself undoubtedly. Don't doubt your choices, you were wise to make them, and you should stick to them. If you'll kick your nephew out at this point, he'll lose faith in humanity and will feel tremendously abandoned. As someone who identifies as religious, your brother and sister-in-law are full of it. Kicking a child out is not the Christian thing to do, especially over something like them saying they don't believe in God anymore. They've absolutely lost their minds and you should absolutely take in your nephew. This is definitely worth a phone call to child services and maybe even a lawyer. See what you can do to be able to legally care for your nephew while his parents deal with the ramifications of abandoning a minor. Your nephew needs a safe place, and it's clearly not his own parents' home. Your nephew would be homeless without your help, and yet the rest of your family believes he's deserving of it for being an atheist. Low-key hypocritical of their own faith, but that's an entirely separate matter. I'd have charges drawn up against the parents if they're going to kick their son out for a disagreement over that. Their parenting decisions are irrelevant when it's not for the child's best interests. Does your family think a child being abused shouldn't be removed from that kind of environment as well? You're a godsend for trying to help your nephew in this time of need. He's lucky to have you. I, 28, and my husband, 30, are newlyweds. We got married this August and had a very small wedding. We just bought a wonderful townhouse that is great for us and our 2 dogs. We both work full-time and split the bills. All of the families get along very well and we couldn't be happier. The only issue that we have is that his friend group likes to make jokes and pull pranks on people. They post all of their videos on social media and will pull pranks on people that aren't expecting them. I have voiced my concern with my husband and he will tell them to tone it down. When my husband hangs with them, his personality will change. My sister, 25, had a birthday party this past June and they decided to squirt invisible ink all over her dress. She was devastated and I spent the rest of the night fighting with my husband. His reaction is always the same, it's just me having fun with the boys. We celebrated his birthday on Monday and had his party at his parents' house. I went over earlier to help set up and baked my husband's favorite dessert, Dutch apple pie. I put some whipped cream on the pie and placed it in the fridge. The party seemed to be going great until I saw one of his friends carrying the pie I made and slams it into my husband's face wishing him a happy birthday. Husband was laughing and went to clean himself off. I was shocked and speechless. I said goodbye to his family and left. When husband came home, he was pissed that I left and told me to take a joke. I have been giving him the cold shoulder since. Am I the idiot for leaving early from husband's birthday party? Not the idiot. His friends clearly don't care how their actions affect others. Your husband is completely disregarding your feelings, and wasting the dessert you made especially for him was disrespectful. If he wants to interact with his buddies like this, he needs to do so away from your family and any other innocent bystanders. While his friends may consent to prank each other, the other victims clearly did not. It'd be one thing if they used their own pie to prank your husband, or even if they had come up and asked you for permission first before they did it, but they didn't. They used a pie you baked with love for your husband without any sort of regard for how it might make you feel. That seems to be a common theme with these pranks. They take such great joy in inflicting real hurt and pain into people for no real reason at all, other than their own personal amusement. With that being said, your husband has no remorse for his role in any of this, so it's not likely he's going to change. Are you sure you want to spend the rest of your life with this man? Have kids with him? You need some serious couples counseling. Tell him he owes you an apple pie. He buys the ingredients, he makes it from scratch, he cooks it. Maybe then he'll understand how much work you put into it. You don't prank people by destroying other people's hard work. You don't prank people by making clean-up work for others. If his friend had been an ethical prankster and had pretended to bring out your pie, but it was actually shaving foam in a pie dish and done the pie and face prank and had then brought out the real pie for everyone to enjoy and helped clear stray foam from the carpet, then it might have been funny. But destroying your handmade present to your husband? That could never be funny. My 30, amazing wife, Mel, 30, gave birth to our son a few months ago, and we recently had a small gathering to introduce him to our fully vaxxed friends, which includes James and his wife Val. Val is known to be troubled mentally and is particularly sensitive to certain sounds and smells. Apparently it was from the traumatic death of her mother when she was younger, but we've never heard the story, so we don't know the details. Anyway, during the gathering, Mel mentioned how she'd created a vlog of the whole birth process. Everything was SFW, so her lady bits weren't captured, and she wanted everyone to watch it. The other ladies were interested to know how it was since we were the first couple to have a kid. I saw Val get visibly uncomfortable when it got to the pushing part and she excused herself. I asked what was wrong, but she just said that she wasn't comfortable with the sounds. I thought it was ridiculous since it was part of the birthing process and told her joking that well, you'll have to go through it anyway, so now's your chance to prep yourself. She excused herself anyway and was curt when I asked if it was one of her sensitivities. James overheard and told me to back off, but I found out later that Val gets very anxious around the smell of a specific type of disinfectant that I happen to use and any sounds of pain because it reminded her of her mother's death. Apparently it was still traumatic for her. I asked James and Val, privately of course, why did she even come to the gathering in the first place, and she said that she was there to say hi to a baby, not be subjected to a childbirth vlog. I told her that maybe it was a good opportunity to replace those memories with something more positive, but they just left after calling me insensitive. I told the rest of the group, who thought that I was making a big deal out of nothing. But my family agrees that Val was just being rude in the face of hospitality, and she should have put aside her discomfort to celebrate with the rest of us. You're the idiot, like so many times as well. First of all, not a single person there had to watch that video. She didn't need a reason to excuse herself, but she had one anyway, and it still wasn't good enough for you. Repeatedly saying apparently it's traumatic is also so rude. It is traumatic, clearly. I don't think anyone gets over their mother's death, but you don't even know the story, do you? So it isn't for you to decide if she should still be traumatized or not. The issues she has are called sensory issues and are very real. Educate yourself, idiot. I can't express enough how much of an idiot you are in this situation. You should have just kept your rude thoughts and feelings to yourself and let Val excuse herself. Instead, you disrespected her and likely humiliated her. It is literally nothing to do with you, what or why she finds certain things traumatic or difficult to deal with. All you have succeeded in doing is making things so much worse for Val and likely ruining what was supposed to be a really nice and positive gathering for everyone, and for what? What were you hoping to achieve by doing this? Shame on your family too, it's clear where you get your self-absorbed attitude from. From what you said, Val excused herself quietly at the offending part. You chose to follow her and make a snide remark at her. Then she was aloof and you further pursued the matter. Her trauma is not subject to your definition of enough. You could have let her sit it out quietly instead of starting drama. And vlogs of the birthing process may not be exactly pleasant watching even for a lot of people who have not experienced trauma. Val is better off without friends who start drama unnecessarily and belittle her trauma. My husband's sister has a 9-year-old son. Her husband is deployed and she works full-time and hasn't the best support system, so we watch him for $100 a week after school, 2:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Up to semi-recently it's been okay. He has always been a big eater and we always accommodated for that, but now he's getting more demanding and just taking food to eat instead of checking with me or my husband first. He gets 2, usually, ham sandwiches after school, and then he will grab cheese from our fridge, then he goes onto the cookies, then he'll eat another lunch which can be anything from chicken noodle salad to soup and bread rolls. That still won't be enough and he'll grab ice cream. Then he'll grab crackers or frozen meals in our freezer, etc. And he will still want more, but usually sister-in-law is picking him up then. We have asked him to try more fruit or veggie packs, but he won't. My husband put a sign up saying not to take from the freezer, but he did it anyway, and even after consequences he still kept doing it. I have tried switching up what he eats after school to see if anything will stop him going back for more, but it won't. Even a full dinner plate will not put a stop to him looking for more. Sister-in-law is no help. She doesn't want to give us more money, and she also doesn't want to back us up on the rules of not taking everything. He'll even eat the special candies for our daughter with allergies who can't eat them. And they were out of the way. But he'll pull up a chair and he will take them anyway. We try to stop him and he says no. My husband took him down off the chair one day, and he grabbed the chair when my husband tried to put it back and was pulling on it for my husband to stop. We know he is eating all his lunch in school and he gets a big lunch. So we would hope he wouldn't eat everything from our fridge, but we cannot afford to keep buying this much just for him. He would eat a whole loaf of bread made up of sandwiches on his own and still go for more food. He is very active, but we at least need some more money for this to be feasible. But sister-in-law refuses. So I told her no more. That she needs to figure out something else. She thought my husband would say I was wrong, but he agreed with me. She called me an idiot and told me I was being unfair. That I know she hasn't a lot of resources for help. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Are you positive your sister-in-law is feeding him enough at night and on weekends? It honestly sounds like he either has a medical or psychological condition, or he's not being fed enough on a regular basis, so he's yours when he can, at your house. You ask for support from your sister-in-law, and she refused to give you more money for food for him, or to support your rules. It should have come as no surprise to her when you refused to watch him any longer. His behavior towards food is very worrisome. He should definitely be respecting your house and your rules. If sister-in-law isn't going to back you up, then you have every right to tell her to find alternative childcare. It kind of sounds like nephew might have Prader-Willi syndrome. Those with the disorder are constantly hungry and will not stop eating. However, another symptom is severe intellectual impairment. And if I am not mistaken, it's usually diagnosed in infancy. Or he could just be like my husband. He's very active and is constantly eating. Partly because he has an insanely fast metabolism. Also because as a child, there was a period of time where he was denied food. Not the idiot, but I'm genuinely concerned for the little guy. Even children going through growth spurts don't eat like that, nor do they sneak or fight to get food. If he's grossly overweight, that suggests that he's got some food-related issues. And if he's a normal or underweight, I'd be concerned about a medical problem like new-onset juvenile diabetes, or perhaps his mother is overly restricting his access to food at home. To give some background, my sister cannot have kids. She has wanted a kid for a few years, but doesn't want one that doesn't share the same DNA as her words. She asked me if I'd be willing to have a baby and give it to her, and I said no. So, my sister and her husband moved into my parents' house as their house needs working on. She said it would take 4-6 months before they could move back. My mom wanted to have a family dinner yesterday and had all of my siblings and I over. Before dinner, my sister asked if they could instead move in with us because it's closer to brother-in-law's job than my parents' home is, and she didn't want to live with my parents. I asked my boyfriend if it was okay, and we agreed to let them stay with us instead. That was until she started making jokes during dinner that I seen as red flags. They were along the lines of, "You better hope I don't hide your birth control and you end up getting pregnant." I kind of awkward laughed, then she said, "Maybe I'll poke a hole or two in your rubber." By then I stopped laughing and started to feel off vibes. I tried to steer the conversation onto something else, but she kept making the jokes. I didn't even last till the end of dinner and told her I changed my mind about them living with us because I didn't like her jokes. They all said I'm overreacting, and my boyfriend backed me up and said it wasn't funny. We left, and since then my siblings and parents have been calling me a drama queen and said I blew it all out of proportion and I'm making it seem like my sister is a bad person. Am I the idiot? I would say you should know your sister. They might have been bad jokes, and maybe you were overreacting. Like when people say I'm going to kill you, it's very rarely a real threat. So, have you a good relationship with your sister? Is she a respectful person? Does she defend other people when they need? Does she knock on the door before walking in? Does she borrow stuff without asking? Has she ever stolen? Gotten anyone fired? Is she supportive of you? Granted, no one's perfect. Sometimes people can make a bad joke because they know it's so obviously a joke and you'd never take it seriously. Not the idiot. Your sister and your parents need some help if they think that's acceptable. You've shut down the idea of you her giving her one of your kids if you got pregnant. It's really creepy and obnoxious that she keeps being it up. If she acts like this when she hasn't even moved in yet, you would be in for trouble. They can just stay with the parents. Maybe your mom will offer to have a kid for her. Not the idiot. When people joke, there is some honesty in it. Do not let them move in. Go low contact with everyone. Let everyone, parents, siblings, in-laws, cousins, aunts, uncles, anyone that says you're being a drama queen, tell them to back off. This is not a joking matter. You told her no. Do not let them guilt trip you, tell you that you are being sensitive, dramatic, or whatever the excuses may be for her. Good luck, doll, you got this.